At 10 p.m, I'm going to discuss how tonight, Wednesday, the 4th of February 2026, we are witnessing the downfall of Sir Keir Starmer. But there's another angle to this. Why was Peter Mandelson, the Dark Prince, the man who twice resigned from government in disgrace, allowed to be resurrected again? Why is it that even when, after the first big wave of Mandelson-Epstein allegations, there weren't huge calls for Sir Keir Starmer to resign? Why is it that even after Mandelson stepped down as US ambassador, the media seemed to let Sir Keir Starmer off the hook? Well, I'll tell you why. Because what this Mandelson-Epstein affair highlights is the cosy, cushy cabal that our establishment, legacy media, new Labour lovies live in, and why you shouldn't ever trust them or ever listen to them again. Adam Bolton, 33 years he spent at Sky News. He was their political editor, their editor-at-large. He hosts a politics show now on Times Radio. Peter Mandelson went to Adam Bolton's wedding. When Mandelson was made US ambassador, Adam Bolton put this on social media. Peter Mandelson is the only politician who has never lied to me. He will thrive in the US. I mean, you've got the likes of Emily Maitlis, haven't you, who worked for Channel 4, the BBC. Now she's doing the Newsagents podcast over at Global, the owners of LBC. She's been pictured at a Spectator dinner in 2010, looking very cosy with Peter Mandelson. John Sopel, who's also in that picture there with Emily Maitlis, the BBC's chief political correspondent during the New Labour era, the former North America editor for BBC News, now also does a podcast with Maitlis. He described Peter Mandelson as, quote, probably perfect for the US ambassador role. He said Starmer appointing him was, quote, a very smart move. Alastair Campbell, who now does the insufferable Rest is Politics podcast with Rory Stewart, good old Florence of Belgravia, he's described Mandelson as an old friend and a class act. And although he acknowledged that Mandelson was wrong to associate so closely with Jeffrey Epstein, Campbell just couldn't help but shower him with praise.
Look, he's got a very good brain. He can be he's very clever. He can be very charming. One of the things that he and I share in common is that we think things through when we're addressing a problem by endlessly writing and talking and sometimes going round in circles till we get to the point that we think we should be at.
That has aged like milk, hasn't it? I mean, these are the people who, for decades, have been able to shape the British media landscape and, of course, with it, shape public opinion. These people, for decades, were the news. I think the Mandelson affair will be the end for Sir Keir Starmer, and we'll talk about that more later. But it should also be the end of the professional reputations of all of those media big hitters. Look at the company they keep. They are all part of the same little club, and you just can't trust them. You just can't. There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN. OK, let's get the views of my panel on this. We've got the Director of Popular Conservatives, Mark Littlewood. We've got the Reform Councillor for Brentwood, Russell Quirk, and journalist and broadcaster Nina Mishkov. Right, Mark, what do you think of the cosy little media cabal and the, frankly, well, I suppose the reasons behind there, maybe, why Starmer was let off the hook first time round with Mandelson?
Yeah. No, you're right, Patrick. In fact, I think it's even worse than you suggested. It's not just that there is a cosy bubble of people. Look, it's OK that they know each other, but the problem is they all think on the same wavelength. Consequently, they don't ask difficult questions of their friends. But to make it even worse, they are unbelievably pious about any misdemeanour on the other side, right? If it would have been the long history of Adam Bolton and Emily Maitlis and John Sopel that, you know, kind of what Farage may have said at school when he was 15 didn't matter, or that whether Chris Pincher got drunk at the Carlton Club didn't matter, or whether Boris Johnson ate a slice of cake didn't matter. But no, extreme piety for anyone who is remotely on the right of centre, and no forensic investigation for anyone who is close to the cosmopolitan liberal elite. That's the shame of it, I think. No consistency, not just the cover-up, the lack of consistency.
It's the epitome of cronyism, isn't it? I mean, and some. Probably the worst case that we've seen in terms of this kind of connection, this bad connection between politics and journalists. The other real issue I have with this is that, I mean, I guess to Mark's point, when it comes to that left-leaning media, and there's obviously a lot more than you've mentioned. I mean, the likes of Beth Rigby, that every time she interviews Keir Starmer or Angela Rayner says how wonderful they are, what brilliant people they are, and so on. But on the other side of the coin, when we get to the question of Ofcom and the focus and the pressure on broadcasters to be balanced, you've got this going on, you know, and you've got this absolute warped manipulation of the truth, this bias, and there's no other word for it, frankly, this bias, which is designed to prop up not just Labour and a Labour government, but a failing one now, but also propping up bad people. I mean, everyone knew, Keir Starmer's admitted it today, that Peter Mandelson, not only friends with a paedophile, has been kicked out of a government twice. Once for failing to declare a £373,000 loan by Jeffrey Robinson, and then also trying to procure passports inappropriately for the Hinduja brothers because they were donors to the Labour Party.
This didn't come out of a clear blue sky,
No, this man has form, and yet these lunatics, these biased lunatics are supporting him and have done it every single turn.
This is it, Ian. They're all mates. They're all New Labour, really. That's what it is. Peter Mandelson's one of the main architects of that. They all go way back. They're all friends. And there's no way that if any other party, the Tories or Reform, had resurrected the career of a bloke who's been sacked twice in disgrace or resigned twice in disgrace, and is widely regarded, fundamentally, even before all the Epstein stuff, as being really quite creepy, right? There is no way that they would have written articles going, what a smart move this is. Gosh, this guy's got the brain the size of a planner. I hope he enjoyed the souffle at my wedding.
This is not a left-wing conspiracy to prop up Peter Mandelson. I have no desire to defend Peter Mandelson in the light of all this horrendous. I mean, you know, this is, you know, it's the biggest scandal. We've all said this since the Profumo affair. I'm probably the only one here who remembers the Profumo affair. I was a teenager at the time, and that's a very long time ago. So this is a huge thing, and nobody would ever want to defend Peter Mandelson, knowing what we know now. However, we didn't know half. Or it's merely the tip of the iceberg that was known. So we
knew he was good friends with a paedophile that had been convicted.
Well, we didn't know.
Keir Starmer's admitted it.
Hang on. We didn't know how close he was. We didn't know how long the relationship had gone for. He could have stopped seeing him and say, I don't know, 2012 or something like that.
Yeah.
So we don't know. We don't know that, and we didn't know that.
But the problem, I think the problem, Nina, is that it's not just about the Epstein relationship. And I would have more sympathy if the narrative had been Peter Mandelson's very bright, he's very talented, But we've got to be a bit quizzical about this appointment, right? There've got to be a few questions
I agree.
asked. But it just seemed to be unalloyed praise.
When Starmer introduced him in Washington, didn't he say, "Oh well, Peter is Peter"?
Peter is Peter. He certainly is, isn't he? That's a phrase that will go down in history.
Peter's about.
Yeah. But the thing is,
you're such a Peter. You're such a Peter.
What Alastair Campbell said about Peter Mandelson, taking away all the context of Epstein, is that he is brilliant. He was brilliant. And, I mean, there was a big piece by Dan...
He got caught in his undercrackers in a paedophile's penthouse in Paris.
I can never unsee... I can never unsee that picture, and I'll never forgive him for that. But, you just have to recognise that he was and is brilliant. And at the time...
that is absolutely no excuse whatsoever.
No, it's not.
Can I also just say, Nina, you're a journalist, right? So you know that these rumours that I hear, and I'm not a journalist, right, but the rumours I hear is that, every editor of a national newspaper has a safe in their office full of stuff that purports to throw people under the bus, but it hasn't necessarily been sent out there for whatever reason, because of cosy relationships between editors and so on. Don't tell me that politicians and the media didn't know exactly what Mandelson
Do you think that the editor of The Telegraph had anything like that in his safe? It wouldn't have been on the front.
We're talking about the Mirror, the Guardian.
Sorry, guys. I want to get you to react to this.
Mail...
Sorry. It's just come into us. It's new news, right? So Labour's Natalie Fleet spoke to GB News. She's an MP, in case you're wondering, after MPs voted to release all the documents related to Lord Mandelson's appointment as US ambassador. Here's what she had to say.
I am absolutely furious about what Peter Mandelson has done. At the heart of this are women, children, victims that have been betrayed. There is a paedophile, a convicted paedophile, and a man, Peter Mandelson, that lied to the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom about his links to that paedophile. He let the Labour Party down, he let Parliament down, but most importantly of all, he let those women survivors down. His behaviour has been absolutely disgusting.
Listen very closely to that. Peter Mandelson lied to the Prime Minister. He let the Prime Minister down. The Prime Minister today, and we're going to talk about this at 10 p.m, admitted in the House of Commons that he knew that Peter Mandelson had an ongoing friendship with the world's most notorious paedophile. And he still appointed him to the role of US ambassador. And now we're going to find out exactly how close that relationship was.
So the best case scenario for Keir Starmer is still absolutely abysmal, isn't it? God only knows what's in these documents. If they're thin, then you might ask that might suggest the Prime Minister was insufficiently curious and he should have asked further questions. The implication, in fact, pretty much what Keir Starmer said, not merely the implication, was it's OK to have a continuing relationship with a convicted paedophile and fraudster as long as it's not too close.
That's the message.
There are shades of grey here,
but
apparently.
Don't we also know, and I believe this to be true because I've read it several times from several different journalists in several different publications, that the advice from the security services to Keir Starmer was don't appoint him as ambassador to Washington. And Keir Starmer said, yeah, I'm going to appoint him anyway. Seriously?
Appointed him before we'd even read all
before the security.
We don't know.
Yes, we do know.
You do know that.
We know he was appointed before the security.
Just to bring us full circle, by the way, comment on whatever you want, but just to bring us full circle, my point about the cosy little media club, Nina, was not so much that they didn't have a massive pop at Starmer for appointing Peter Mandelson, which I think they should have done. It was when Mandelson had to go. There wasn't enough criticism of Starmer then for appointing him. Once the disgrace had happened, right, they've now had to wait for the most devastating collection of emails, like toe-curling, including pictures of him in his undercrackers, before the before the likes of Adam Bolton and all of that lot really are piping up.
Because people couldn't quite believe, I don't think, what the extent of what this man has done. And if we're talking about the left-wing media, that's only the Guardian, the Observer, and
the Mirror,
the Mirror.
The
Mirror.
the
That's
FT.
it. No, the FT's not.
The Times, by the way.
BBC.
No, the Times is very straight down the middle. But we're talking about the Telegraph, the Mail. Why did they not do anything? They didn't do anything either, did they? Did the Telegraph? Did the Mail?
Isn't the fair point?
No, it doesn't take it. So you're taking a pop at
all the mainstream.
Isn't the fair point here, Nina,
No,
that if you've got something wrong, like Adam Bolton did, you'd now expect a massive mea culpa.
Yeah.
Instead, he was on radio and television today saying, oh, well, yeah, but Dominic Cumming broke COVID rules, so lots of top people break rules. I mean, the scales have still not fallen from the eyes of these people.
Alastair Campbell's been very quiet, I noticed, on Twitter.
Well, he's probably done some kind of emergency podcast with old Florence of Belgravia, hasn't he, during which Rory Stewart will say something like, I'm appalled. I'm appalled, I'm shocked. Anyway, Lord Mandelson has previously denied criminal wrongdoing related to Epstein and has said he relied on assurances of his innocence that turned out later to be horrendously false.